I am Dr. Neeta Sharma from Shri Shankaracharya Mahavidyalaya, Junwani, affiliated to Premchand Yadav University, Durg. My topic: Thomas Gray, Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard, MA English, Semester 2nd, Poetry, Unit 1. Thomas Gray, Critical Summary. He belongs to pre-Romantic period. The age of classicism is followed by a transitional period known as the pre-Romantic age, which comes from 1770 to 1798. About the last 30 years of the 18th century, in fact, in this period, in the second half of the 18th century, we can observe a new sensibility in poetry and a new generation of poets was arising. These poets used subjective autobiographical materials which marked a new trend towards the expression of a lyrical and personal experience of life. They were less intellectual and more emotional, presenting a variety of emotional states of the soul. Introduction: Thomas Gray was an English poet, letter writer, classical scholar, and professor at Pembroke College, Cambridge. He is widely known for his Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard, published in 1751. Gray was an extremely self critical writer who published only 13 poems in his lifetime despite being very popular. Elegy is a form of literature that can be defined as a poem or song in the form of elegiac couplets written in honor of someone deceased. Theme: the main theme of Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard throws light on unavoidable circumstances of death. This is a poem that expresses the sentiment known as memento mori, a reminder of our own mortality. Gray's Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard is a meditation about death as the final state of human condition, regardless of wealth, position, or power. The first four stanzas present images of twilight settling over a solitary figure in a small country churchyard. Thomas Gray probably began Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard about 1746. It was originally a somewhat shorter poem than the version be published in 1751, and some have speculated that the poem may have been occasioned by an actual death, perhaps that of Gray's friend Richard West in 1742. When Gray designated his work as an elegy, he placed it in a long tradition of meditative poems that focus on human mortality and sometimes reflect specifically on the death of a single person. By setting his meditation in a typical English churchyard with mounds, gravestones, and yew trees, Gray was also following a tradition. Some of the most popular poems in the middle of Gray's century were set in graveyards and meditated on death. In the first three stanzas, Gray sets the scene for his private and quiet meditations. He is far from the city and looking out from a country churchyard at a rural scene, but the sights and sounds of this rural world of men and beasts fade away. Although the scene is beautiful, life is not joyous, and Gray reflects that this day dies just like the one before it as the ploughman plods wearily home. The poet is alone, but he is not tired. The text gives a sense of vitality of his solitude and of the stillness of the scene by describing the few things that remain to disturb it: the tinkling of the cattle who have returned home, the drone of the beetle, and the sound of an owl from the church tower. In the next four stanzas, Gray uses the churchyard scene to invoke important images: the strength of the armed, death as symbolized by the graves, and the comfort provided by the yew, shading bodies that sleep. The poet began by reflecting that death for the humble and lower class means a cessation of life's simple pleasures, waking up to the songs of birds, sharing life with a wife and children, and enjoying hard and productive work. Gray reflects not on the untimely death of young people but on the death that comes after a normal lifespan. In the next four stanzas, the poet addresses the upper classes, those with ambition, grandeur, power, nobility, and pride, and exhorts them not to mock the poor for their simplicity or for not having elaborate statues on their graveyard memorials. He tells the living upper classes that ultimately it does not matter what glory they achieve or how elaborate a tombstone they'll have. They'll die just like the poor. Now we come to the conclusion of the poem. Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard is a Restoration period poem by Thomas Gray. An elegy, by strict definition, is usually a lament for the dead. Gray's version of an elegy is slightly different. He writes about the inevitability and hollowness of death in general instead of mourning one person. Thank you.